So I'm back and I've taken a photo of myself to add to the screenshot that I just got in Dakar, uh, and I'm going to add myself to the screenshot with the cows. So the first thing we have to do is go to PIXLR, PIXLR.com, and click on Advanced PIXLR E. Just a reminder, you do not need to log in. You do not need an account. It's free. Advanced PIXLR E. And you'll go to Create New. And the largest size and best size to use is Ultra HD. Use that. If you find that that's really slow when you use it, then you can go to the next size down, which is Web 1440. Or if you want a square image, you can do Square High Med. Okay, or Square UHD. Different options here. But try and use the ones that have a size of at least 2000 here on the numbers. Okay, so Ultra HD, and then click Create. And just a reminder, I am not going to go over the details of how to use the different tools. My assumption is that, and you should have, if you're watching this video, you should have already watched the 6-part video series on cutting and pasting and creating collages in PIXLR and using all the tools that go along with that. Some of those tools are the lasso tool, the brush tool, the eraser tool, the hand tool, the magnifying tool, the crop tool, the resizing tool, understanding what layers are, and using layers and creating new layers. That is all covered in the cut and paste tutorial. Okay, so please watch that so that you understand what's going on here as I am utilizing these tools. So the first step is to create a new layer, and you want it to be an image layer. Click on Image, and you'll drag in, or you'll select your screenshot image. So navigate to your screenshot image and select it. And let's just go ahead and resize it right away. These little add windows will pop up occasionally. Just close them when they do. So line up one corner of the image to match the corner of the file, and you'll see when you get to the corner, it kind of snaps into place and that red line pops up. Same with this corner. Then you know you're right in the corner of the file, and then just increase the size from here. Okay. So you can see the file is a different dimension than the image. That's okay. At this point, we'll just crop the image. So your crop tool is right here. And we'll just crop that down to here. And click Apply. And now you've got your image file and the image itself the same size. Next thing we'll do is bring in the photo of me. I've got 3 here. I actually took about 10 different ones, and I have 3 that I put on my computer. I wasn't sure which one I was going to use in the final piece. I think I like this one. That one's kind of funny. I like that light there on the right side, but yeah, I think I'm going to go with this one. The light also matches pretty well there. Notice that I photographed myself against a white sheet, which will make things, I find it just makes things easier when cutting out. So I'll need to resize this. Let's see. The scroll wheel is a little finicky when you scroll to zoom in. You can also use Command plus and minus. Let's see, that looks a little big still, maybe like that size. I'm going to go with that for now, and I can always make myself a little bigger or smaller if I need to. So first step, I'm going to go ahead and delete kind of the big chunks of the image. And remember, with the brush, you can control size, I'm gonna go kind of big here. Softness, this is all covered in the previous video, or the previous 6 videos, including the eraser tool. So I'm going to erase this in this layer. Make sure you have the right layer selected. So this is the layer with the picture of me. This is the layer with the screenshot from Dakar. And I'm not trying to get right on the edge, you know, like trying to get my edges. I'm just getting most of the background out of the way. And I tried doing this tutorial using the magnetic lasso in PIXLR, and it just didn't work very well. So I'm using the eraser tool this time, and let's see how that goes. I think it'll work better. Honestly, not super used to using PIXLR. It's a little finicky sometimes. It is a web-based program. I use Photoshop a lot more, but it's a pretty decent program. So I could do 2 things here with the hair. Notice there's like these little areas where you can see through the hair. I could get the brush tool and just fill that in with like a similar black to my hair. Or I could erase my hair completely and just erase it right down to the edge of that band. I think I'm going to go ahead and fill it in with black later because it'll look funny. But I'm going to erase like right up to that edge there. And these kind of like broad, straight lines or curves are pretty easy to do with like a bigger brush. But like getting in here, I'm going to have to make my brush smaller. So this is, I'll show you a technique that is often used when you're erasing a figure out from the background of an image, which I'm not using right now, this technique, but I'll show you in a moment. Remember, if you push the space bar and hold it, you switch from whatever tool you're in into the hand tool and you can move around. So really useful when you're doing work like this, like when you're erasing around a figure and you also need to move. Hold down the space bar and you can click and move around, and then let go of the space bar and you're right back in the brush tool. So I'm going to make my size smaller. Yeah, it's a little too small. Let's see how that is. That's probably a little too big still. I'm just going to type in, let's try 10. Okay, that's pretty good. And this hair here, I'm just going to go ahead and take most of it out. That looks pretty good, just like that. You know, there's always options. Like I could take out that little piece of shirt that's sticking up, or I could come back later with this even smaller brush and delete these little white, like that little white triangle there, and there's going to be one there too. So I think I'll just come back later. Okay, so yeah, oops. So I just made a mistake there, and I cut some of my shirts. So remember, Command Z is undo spacebar. Again, you should not be watching this video unless you've already watched the 6-part series that really covers all these tools, including the eraser tool. But I'm just going to go here on the edges and just delete the edge of the background. So I'm not worried about all this. I'm going to come back and do that. Now there's a little trick. Let's see, is it Shift? Yeah. So in PIXLR, just like Photoshop, if you hold down Shift, so you can see now this is much easier work than actually making a line along the edge. It's kind of like connect the dots. So if you click in one spot and then hold down Shift and click, it'll make a straight line from the first spot to the second spot. Like, okay, and this is absolutely can feel a little tedious. Oh, there was a little curve there. I'm just going to make it a little curvier right there and right there. Do it, firstly, do it to the quality that you find comfortable, like to the exacting detail that you find comfortable. Also, the more careful you are and the more time you take, the nicer it will look on the end result. Now, a very common mistake is to not get too close into the subject. Like people are afraid to get too close. It's better to actually take a little bit out, like to encroach a little bit into these fish pants here, than to leave a little extra. What happens is often people, like I'm doing right here, see people tend to leave a little extra, and then it leaves this white line right there on the edge, and that is very prominent when you go and you put the cutout figure into the image. That becomes very prominent. So you don't want that white line. It's a very common kind of beginner mistake when cutting things out. It's better to encroach a little bit, so move the eraser a little into the subject rather than a little bit away. It's really difficult to get it right on the line, but just do your best. And again, it's better to encroach a little bit into, and I'm just holding down the shift key so that every time I click, the eraser makes a line from the spot it was to the spot that I'm clicking. Now on this curve here, I might just take my mouse and manually try and trace that curve. And once you do this several times, you get pretty quick at it. You can also sometimes just try and trace it. See, edges like this will be rather prominent when you get to the final piece and you paste it in. And then sometimes you get nice, straight lines. You can just cruise around the figure. Oops. So letting go, shift, now holding shift. See that white line there? Don't want that. Okay. So I'm being pretty careful here. Sometimes little areas get a little tight, and you can come back and tweak those, or if you want to go and decrease your eraser size and go in there, you can in the moment, but I'm going to come back for it. Go. There we go. Also, on the other shoe, I used the, I kind of manually traced it, but you can even use these straight lines to make curves. You just kind of click a lot as you're going around the curve there, just like that. So I'm still holding down shift. Oops, I'm going to go back. I'm still holding shift. There we go. There we go. It's pretty close. Okay, so if, you can, if you'd like, speed up through this part as I'm doing this. No expectation that you watch this entire thing of me doing this, but try not to skip too far so you see the next steps. Oops, I'll redo that. So you can see I got a little bit of a white line there. I'll probably fix that, and you can just fix it in one fell swoop. Don't be afraid to cut things out that are in the original if it's not super noticeable. Like, you don't have to, like for example, when I cut some of my hair out, just there I cut something out. It just didn't look right, so I'm just going to go like that. I could even cut that whole hand out, but I'm not going to. Okay, so shift key. Okay, and coming in on the face, often if you have, especially the profile of a face, you'll need a smaller brush. So I'm just going to skip that for now, or just kind of do a little rough right there. And then boom, boom. Almost done. And boom. Okay. All right, now you just go in and you could make the brush a little bigger. Let's see. That's probably big enough. And just very carefully, you don't want to then lose any of the good work you just did, but you can delete all this extra stuff. You can see there's a little bit of white there on the edge, but that's okay. I'm not gonna go and be a perfectionist right now. But once you have that kind of border on the edge, you can go through and just get the rest of this stuff pretty quickly and easily. Just be mindful of the size of your brush. So again, you don't ruin any of the good work you just did. And make sure you're getting all the stuff. Sometimes people miss a little spot and it looks funny when they're done. Again, holding the space bar down allows you to move around. So hold the space bar and then your mouse click and drag to move around. Okay, and now I will, well, let me go ahead and clean this up. So, are you kidding me? Okay, so first I'll clean this up. All right, and then I'm going to go really small here with the mouse. Let's try 4. And we can zoom way in. You can see some of that white line here. You know, if you see something like that, you can try and clean it up. All right, that's good enough. Oops. And then all the sharp corners. Oh gosh, okay, yeah, that froze a little bit. Okay, all the sharp corners are very likely going to have a little bit. It's being a little glitchy right now. I got this. Okay, so now I'm going to clean up the profile of my face. Okie doke. And notice this, so you don't want to miss stuff like this, like on the interior, that little white area there. So let's make that 2 pixels. Oh, that looks pretty good. Might even have to go 1 pixel. Oh, that's pretty good. That's a little off, but it's okay. It's so tiny. All right, I think that's good. So I think oh wait, there was these little triangles here. Okay, that one and that little white area there. So that was right there. Noink. Come on. Can be a little glitchy sometimes. Okay. All right, looking good. So there you go. That time. Oh, and then the last thing I want to do is just fill in. If it's against that building, it actually blends right in. But I'm going to go ahead and go to my brush tool. I'm going to click on the color. And again, this I think is all in the cut and paste. If it's not, so brush tool. The brush tool will color. It's kind of an additional feature. It's not usually needed, but if you need to fill in an area, click on the brush tool, which is this, and then click on this top circle to get to your color. And then if you click anywhere on the picture, see the little dropper there will copy the color that you're hovering over. So I'm gonna like click on that color right there. It's like a dark gray. Click OK, and then resize my brush tool. It's gonna be pretty small. Let's try 2. And I'm just going to fill that in with that gray. Just fill in those areas with that gray. There we go. And then we don't have that white kind of floating in my hair there. Okay. Okay, close that. Let's zoom out. Looking pretty good. That looks like almost the right spot. And I'm going to go to my move tool. I think I want to move myself. Yeah, I kind of like that spot right there. Okay. It's a little hard to gauge the size. Maybe a little bigger. So when I took the photo, because I noticed that Street View, the camera is kind of high up, and I remembered seeing the van when I saw it in Boulder. And the van is out, it drives around, and then the camera's on top of the van, and it kind of sticks up like a couple feet too. So it's taking the photo from pretty high up. So I tried to emulate that when I took this photo. I put it on something that was kind of high up, like a bookshelf. I put my phone with the camera high up on a bookshelf to kind of have a looking, an angle that it's kind of looking down on me. That's similar to this. We're not going to worry about shadows and everything. That's kind of a more complex feature to add to these. If you want to look it up and try and do some bonus work, you could try and do that, try and add a shadow, but really not necessary. You can also position yourself in a spot where there wouldn't be a shadow, or, if you think of that when you're clipping the photo, like right here, my shadow would get eaten up by the shadow of this thing, so it kind of would work, but a little small. Yeah, I don't like myself there, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and put myself right there. I like that. I'm kind of scoping out the cows. And just remember, something else you can do is if you go to image, or let's see, edit and free transform, you can also flip yourself. Oh no, why? Let's see. Let's undo that. Let's see, fixed free. There we go. So it's right here, flip horizontal. So if you go, if you go into so edit, free transform, and then you click here, flip horizontal, it'll flip you the other way. So like if I want to be more on this side, actually I kind of like that. I'm going to put myself on this side, and then this cow's kind of looking at me. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks better. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. But again, that is click on the layer you want to use and edit, free transform. This is, of course, all in the, edit. Why isn't it doing it? Stop. Cancel. Oh, you don't even have to be in free transform. Okay, so you can just go, if you just click on the layer and your move tool, you can click here, flip horizontal, flip vertical, duplicate, all that. Yeah, if you want to do 2 of you, duplicate, and then you could flip this one. Ta-da. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. Oops. I like it like this. Okay, so final piece. Let's see it. I think it's a little, oops, a little small. Go a little bigger. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so final piece is saving. So it's now done. It's complete. And just some things to point out. I tried to match the lighting in the photo. It doesn't quite match. I think it's coming from the wrong side. Even when I had it over here on this side, it was kind of on the wrong side, but did my best. Just do your best. And we're not trying to go for photorealism necessarily. Like I said, we're not adding shadows and things like that unless you really want to do that. So just do your best. It's okay if it kind of looks like you clipped it out and put it in there. But just a reminder that when you did that, but I do really want when you do the screenshot not to have any of the Google like product stuff. So the little maps in the corners and the Google name and any of the icons in the image, anything like that, make sure is not in the photo. And then to save the file, this is really important. So File, Save, and save it as a JPEG, JPG only. Do not save it as a PNG. Do not save it as a PXD. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to just call it Elon Sherman Dakar. That's where I was. Do save it as a high quality image, so click on high, or you can even drag this all the way to the right side there. And then click, so even though you're saving it, it's going to say download, because remember, you're working on the internet. So you want to download it to your computer, and then it will save it to your download folder. So wherever you save things, wherever your browser is set to save things when you download, that's where it will save it. So make sure to check that. On my computer, it's in the downloads folder, which is right there. This will show an ad. You can close it when it says close. If you're not sure where your download folder is, go to your system preferences, your browser preferences. So up here, click on the name of the browser and preferences. And there should be, you could search for it. Just click download. It's probably here in general in Firefox. But you can always just search. If you really can't find it, so here it says save files to, and mine is in downloads, and you can choose a new place. But if you really can't find it, like you don't see where to find those preferences, search online. So search online, like where are my downloads saved to, and then type in your computer type. So Google, in my Google Chromebook, or in my Windows 10 Internet Explorer browser. Just search for it on Google if you really can't find it on your computer. But it will be saved onto your computer. And then when you have 5 of those, hand them in. And those will be your final edited pieces. If you have any questions, please be sure to ask in class as soon as possible. Please don't wait till the last day. And I will see you all soon. Happy editing and happy travels.